All right. I think we are ready to lock and load, rock and roll with ye old Pondering Show. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is Joel Rissinger, the host of Pondering Radio and the Pondering Podcast, and we are glad you're with us this fine Friday. Hey, guys, take a deep breath. Look around you. Look at the calendar. It's Friday. That's right. Thank you. Celebration and a sip of coffee and food. Yeah, baby. You've survived another week. Congratulations and welcome to the Pondering Podcast and radio program. By the way, I apologize for the noise in the background. For some reason, someone else in my household has decided this is a great time to print. I don't know. But anyway, it's great to have you with us. It is Friday, the 24th of April, 2020, and I am Joel Rissinger. This is a show where we ponder things. That means we think them through. We do not swallow whole whatever the media feeds us. Whatever sound bites or little culturally acceptable tidbits we happen to hear through the week, we actually think about them, and then we talk about them here. Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is a joy to be with you. Welcome to Wayne. Welcome to Leanne. A little wave for each of you there. Great to have you aboard today. And anyone else I missed. So how do you contribute to Pondering, you ask? Well, thank you for asking. That was kind of you. Here's how. You can type right into the live stream here on the Pondering Radio page of Facebook, as Wayne and Leanne have already, or they're actually on board so we can see them. But you can comment there as well. You can also email ponderingradio@gmail.com, ponderingradio@gmail.com. Or you can call us, and you can call 24/7, 365. If we don't answer, you can leave a message. And we will definitely listen to it if it's something that's newsworthy, appropriate, or you feel like you want it on the air and we don't object. Then we will put it on the air even. That number is 860-500-7163. 860-500-7163. Good morning, Linda. Linda says, happy Friday. TGIF. That's right. Good morning to Pastor Jim, who's with us. Good day, Bishop, he says. Thank you. Thank you. Here's the ring. Everyone knows I'm a bishop in Namibia, a Lutheran bishop, mind you, even. And if you don't know that story, well, maybe I'll tell you sometime. But that's a funny story. But anyway, Linda, we said hi to. Let me just leave her a little wave here. And yes, Leanne says, good morning. Susie is here. Susie's here with 1, 2, 3 cups of coffee. Good job, Suze. Of course, Susie has this mug. No, I'm not talking about her beautiful face. I'm talking about this coffee mug that she, every time I have been to her home, she saves for me. It is like, I don't know how to describe it. Mount Everest with a handle, basically, would be how I describe this coffee. And I always say, Susie, I love coffee, but I'm not going to drink that much. Oh, no, you need the coffee. This is good. This is yours. So I always end up with the equivalent of 3 cups of coffee in one mug when I go to Susie's house. And speaking of Susie's house, while we're not open for business yet in terms of being able to meet together, gather together face-to-face, we are still meeting Wednesday nights, and we'll continue. And just to give you a little heads up on what we're doing, in case you're interested in joining in to our online Bible study, we are finishing 1 Corinthians this coming Wednesday, the 29th, and then starting the first Wednesday in May, we will be going through the book of Colossians, and then starting the first Monday in June, we'll be starting 2 Corinthians. So you want to get into the Word and not just gloss over high level kind of, warm and fuzzy, let me post the verses that make me smile and feel good. No, they all make you feel good when you understand the truth. But if you'd like to dig in with us, either the Colossians study Wednesday nights in May or the 2 Corinthians study Monday nights and starting in June, first Monday in June, here's how you do it. Send me a note at my Lifeway address, joel@lifewaych.com. By the way, that's the Lifeway Church website where you can get all kinds of great information. But joel@lifewaych.com. Just say, Bible study. You can just put that in the subject. You don't have to type me anything. You just put Bible study in the subject line. I will send you the link so that you can chime in with us and participate. And you can be as interactive as you want. You can show your smiling face and talk like we are here, because Zoom allows that kind of interaction. Or you can shut off the camera so we just hear your voice. Or you can just try to be incognito, although we'll know you're there. Just listen and type a chat or a text message or something. That's fine. Or you don't have to type anything. You can just listen. That's fine. But we would love to have you. And that's the schedule going forward. And since we're talking schedules here, most importantly, we need to recognize that Susie's daughter, Christy, is getting married tomorrow. Yes, she's getting married in the morning. Ding dong, the bells are going to shine. So congratulations, Christy. Yes, the crowd goes wild. And you know, this is a challenge because this is not going to be your normal, all frills wedding situation, because they're trying to keep social distancing and have a certain, crowd control. So this is the preliminary wedding, and then there'll be a celebration later once the restrictions are lifted. So we can be in prayer for them and for Susie tomorrow. Also this weekend, just so I don't forget to tell you, we will be premiering and showing services as per our normal schedule, 9:30 and 11:15 a.m. on Sunday, 9:30 and 11:15 a.m. Sunday morning. Kids Church will be also available, pre-recorded on video on YouTube, our Lifeway Church YouTube channel. And there will be opportunities to watch it on Facebook where you can interact with our staff as the service goes on. You can also watch it on YouTube later. It'll be on the YouTube channel. Or you can watch it live at lifewaych.com, our church website, as we live stream. So if you want to be part of that, we would love to have you. And we've been really blessed to see hundreds of people touched, literally a couple thousand a weekend, it looks like, at least see part of the service, and that's encouraging to us. Very exciting. Good morning. Oh, Joni's Grace Joni's. I'm not sure who you are. I don't know if I know you, but I'm glad you're with us. Welcome aboard. Great to have you. Let me wave at you here. So, listen, guys, it is Free for All Friday, and the way that works in the Pondering program is there are no themes, topics, no guests per se. It's just a free-for-all. And what I mean by that is you can post any question, you can post a topic, you can post a thought, an idea, anything, and I will do my best to respond to it like that. There we go. Ouch. No, I won't respond like that. I'll actually say something. But yeah, listen, I'd love to know. You got a Bible question, a thought, a verse you've been looking at. I don't know if you've been able to see our ministry moments we've been posting on Facebook on multiple pages. My personal page, I often post them on the Pondering Radio page. Love to hear your thoughts and feedback on the ministry moments, or ministry minute, actually is what we're calling it, the ministry minute. And we're trying to keep them to 60 seconds and hit something that's kind of a thought for the day, often from Scripture. Love to hear your thoughts on that. We know people have the attention span of a tsetse fly. No, just there's a lot coming at us. And everybody's busy, and, even on our live stream and when we watch or we replay our videos from church, we notice, because we can track participation, and you'll see this spike and then it's decline as the service goes on. So we're trying to keep all those services to under an hour now, but even with that, there's the same kind of, look at that, okay, bye-bye, we're out of here. So we're trying to do some short little teachings just to, get the word out there, but keep people's attention. In a ADD world where, if you're on Facebook, there's 1,000 things screaming at you every time you're watching or looking at anything. There's ads popping up. There's people popping up. There's, all kinds of distractions. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts on that. Jim says he loves them. Thank you, Jim. And I've seen a bit of your, you've got a ministry moment thing going on there too. I haven't timed that, but it's not a minute. It's longer, right? Powerful minds think alike. Yes. Well, there's another side of that parable, great minds think alike and fools seldom differ, but we'll take the first half, Jim. Let's go with that. Yeah, I've seen a bit of yours as well. I think it's really cool. I stole it from you. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. But I think you're doing a little longer teaching, not long, but 10 minutes. Yeah, so it's still in that same kind of let's keep it brief, let's hit it punchy, let's get to the point, let's get a point across. I think that's good. So, and if you have thoughts, ideas on that, guys, what's something you'd like to see us cover or talk about, a verse you've wondered about, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, let us know. This is a great venue to do that here on Free for All Friday on the Pondering radio program. So I don't know if you've been watching the news, if you've been staying in touch with that. That's another thing. Free for All Friday. You can bring up any news story or question or comment or concern. There's a lot of confusion out there, and I did a brief ministry minute on that God is not the author of confusion, right, but of peace. So when we feel confusion, when there's confusion coming at us, we know the source. We know ultimately where that comes from. But there was a video floating around Facebook, and I think they took it down, which, just boggles the mind. Facebook's mentality sometimes is hilarious to me because on the one hand, there's supposed to be this open public, forum, social media that everybody can participate. On the other hand, they have these weird editorial and randomly applied policies, too. They're not even consistently applied, where they'll look at something and go, oh, no, that's not appropriate. And then they'll let someone else post an ad or have a page with some, porn site being promoted. And I don't know. No politics, but then the liberal political pages get promoted. And, I don't know. I don't want to be biased here or sound jaded, but I didn't think it was political. I thought it was just funny. There was a woman pretending to be like a governor or a leader, government leader, and she's got all these microphones in front of her, and she's clarifying the rules on COVID-19. And she says, no, you're supposed to wear a mask unless you don't wear a mask, unless you don't want to wear a mask, in which case you should, but you don't have to. But if you don't, then and it just goes around and around and double speak like a politician, and it's hilarious. It just goes through this litany of things. And that's true. That's how a lot of us feel watching the news. So we do our best on this program to sift and sort through some of that for you here and there. Happy to do that. So let's see here. Wayne says, my question to you is this. When I send, it's because maybe he meant sin. I'm going to assume it's sin. Because I walk in the flesh and not in the spirit. But is it also because of the devil? Does he manipulate me? To that extent, just a little clarification, please. Yeah, so let's just quickly hit what we know about the devil, right? He's a real being. He's not just a cartoon character or the figment of somebody's imagination. He's a fallen angel, archangel, Lucifer. And the Bible calls him several things. It says he's a roaring lion walking around looking for someone to devour. It says he's the prince of the power of the air, which implies he's a broadcaster, when he broadcasts thoughts. He is a deceiver, the father of lies. So how does he work and manipulate? He can't control you, especially as a Christian. Now, do demons and can the enemy himself possess someone where they are under that control? Yes, but that is something that people would have to acquiesce to in some way. A non-believer who seeks answers in the spirit realm, not from God, but from other spiritual sources, could be vulnerable, for instance, to having, that kind of control over them, being taken over. But for a Christian, and for most people, even average Joes and Janes out there, that's not going to happen. What does happen is this, for Christians, it doesn't happen because we're possessed or owned, not controlled, but owned by God. But even the people that aren't, per se, typically aren't possessed, but they can be influenced, and that's what Satan does. He broadcasts thoughts. He's the master of fear. Fear is one of his greatest tools. And when we own those thoughts, when we accept and embrace those thoughts, we're vulnerable. But he can't make us sin. He can't make us do something. What he can do is make it look awful darn good uh, and attractive, and then he can entice and he can harass to try to move us in a certain direction. But he's not able to force us into it. When we are drawn away by our own lust, and when lust conceives, it brings forth sin, as the Bible says. That's something we're a part of. That's a process that we've made several choices in a direction that ultimately leads to doing something, saying something, thinking something, acting on something that's destructive. Can Satan influence that? Yes. I mean, he's going to call you to it and encourage it. And then as soon as you do it, he's going to pounce on you and condemn you, try to get you to give up, maybe even, have suicidal thoughts because of this horrible thing you just did that he just tempted you to do, but now he wants to destroy you over it. And that's his ultimate goal, is to hurt and kill. So, the best thing for a Christian is to be aware of his schemes, as the Bible says, to know how he operates, the way he tempts us, the thoughts that come into our heads that really aren't even our own. We have thoughts and we immediately want to embrace them, because if I thought it must be me, it must be true, right? Not necessarily. Now, if you broadcast a thought in the first person, you think it's you, don't just accept it. Quite frankly, the Bible says take every thought captive. So when I have a thought that seems contradictory or destructive or negative, I like to seize it and analyze it, ponder it, if you will. Is it of God? Is it true? Is it good? Is it right? Is it lovely? Is it praiseworthy? Is it all those things Philippians talks about? If the answer is no, then I'm going to renounce it, reject it. And it doesn't matter where it came from. It's gone down, baby. Whether it was my thought, the enemy's thought, or somebody else's thought that just, came out of my memory. It doesn't matter. If it's not good, if it's not right, if it's not God, I'm going to renounce it, reject it. And then move on, not own it so that it doesn't entice me or bring me down. Don't bring me down. So hopefully that might be helpful. That's how I understand the way he works and the way we respond to him. And when Ephesians 6 talks about the whole armor of God, all of that's designed to allow us to be able to take those thoughts captive and destroy or renounce them if need be, so that we can move forward in the right direction. So hopefully that hits it. Jen says, C.S. Lewis's book, The Screwtape Letters, is a great book. Yeah, for understanding kind of how, the sort of the wiles and schemes of the enemy. Imagining what the supernatural world is doing behind the scenes. That's what C.S. Lewis was doing in the book. Charity says, focus on the family radio theater, the great audio version of Screwtape Letters. Oh, cool. So that you can actually listen to the conversation between these two demons, right, and how they're going to attack and tear down someone. And I think it's pretty accurate. I think as much as we can be accurate about the supernatural, I think C.S. Lewis did a great job. So, Wayne, did that cover it, bud? Was that helpful? Was that as useful as a screen door in a submarine, as they say, or hopefully better? So, short version, no, he can't manipulate or control you, but he can influence and attract you towards sin. And then you either choose it or you don't. You either renounce it or you embrace it, right? And hopefully we learn over time to renounce the bad temptations and go with the good. The other thing I've noticed about the Christian walk, and I don't know if this gets a whole lot of mileage, but it really should. When you think about Paul's letters in particular, when he addresses what are sometimes called sin lists of things that we do or are vulnerable to, susceptible to, that are evil, he almost always, if not always, in the context, gives us what to replace it with. He gives us the, if you will, righteous lists. He tells us the things that, for example, in Galatians 5, when he talks about the fruit of the flesh, he also talks about the fruit of the Spirit. Even in context, sometimes he'll say things like, let him who stole steal no more, but rather work with his hands that he might give to those in need. So in other words, don't just create a vacuum in your life when you're trying to overcome something. Let's say the enemy's trying to tempt you to do something. Don't just create a vacuum by renouncing it and then standing against that evil. Replace it with something good. Find something that seems to be the counter or the opposite of what it is that you're being tempted to do. Um, you know, one of the things for men often, and women too, but men especially deal with lust and temptation to sexual sin, lustful thoughts and that kind of thing. One of the things I've noticed over the years is that when we as men apply ourselves toward serving, caring for, and protecting women, as big brothers, as husbands, fathers, grandfathers, whatever we might be, all the above, spiritually and or physically, right? So spiritually, I can be a grandpa to a lot of the younger ladies in the church, or a father to many ladies in the church. When I take that position and I think of myself in that role, and I'm trying to protect them, honor them, help them, serve them in the sense of giving God's word and helping them understand his perspective on marriage and his perspective on life, and just trying to have that fatherly spirit and mindset replaces that ugly sinful attraction. It does. When I was in Haiti years ago, I remember just being so concerned for those people, trying so hard to help them physically. With many were hungry and sick. We were running a medical clinic, and we were helping build a school. And I remember cutting up pills. I was joking about being an amateur pharmacist, doing things that we'd never be allowed to do here in the United States, but we had to do there, because if we didn't, nobody would. And there were kids, little babies with malaria and all this stuff. So we had to, jump in, roll up our sleeves, and do whatever. And the doctor who was overseeing it said, okay, you come over here to the table and you take these blue pills and put 50 in a baggie, and take these ones and cut them in half and put 100 in a bag over there. And, okay, yes, sir. All of a sudden there I am working in the pharmacy, so to speak. But in that context of caring for these people, loving on these people, I noticed that as we were cruising along, sometimes we'd be driving by these little villages, and there would be women bathing out in the open. They didn't have bathrooms and showers, so they'd be, showering outdoors in the summer. And I remember one time driving by, and there was a very attractive woman having a shower outside, and I remember just thinking, that didn't even bother me. I remember thinking that it didn't affect me. It was like, oh, look, a tree. Oh, look, a bush. Oh, look, a dog and a bunch of chickens, and a naked woman showering. And it was just like matter of fact. And I remember thinking about that and realizing that as a red-blooded American male, that didn't affect me the same, because I was in this fatherly kind of brotherly servant role of trying to care for these people. And it just didn't have the same impact. I think that's because, there was this real heart of God mindset. So when we can find the thing that replaces the temptation of the sin with good and counters it, I think that's God's desire beyond just overcoming temptation of any kind. And I think that's true of any category of sin you could talk about. You find the thing that really is God's antidote, if you will, the opposite, and you fill your life with that. Not only do you find it easier to resist the temptation Satan throws at you, but you'll find that, after a while, it becomes, the Bible says Jesus was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. And I heard a theologian, Dr. Kyrios Stavrounitis, a Greek scholar, talk about that one time. And basically, in English, paring down what he said to a level I could understand it, what he really told us was that Jesus faced every temptation. He didn't feel attracted to it because of his God nature. So, and he used an analogy of smoking, because he said, if you're not a smoker and you don't like the smell of cigarettes, you don't feel attracted to a cigarette if someone offers you one. You're not like, oh man, Now, if you're a smoker and you're addicted, right, to nicotine, someone offers you a cigarette, that's a different story. But if you're not a smoker, you could be offered that. You could be faced with that temptation. Someone could try to get you to, take a puff, but you don't care. You don't want it. And he said that's probably more realistically how Jesus faced it, because his mind and heart were so filled with the nature of God and the purpose of his calling that when things were presented to him, it was like, nah, no thanks. And I think the more we not only reject the sin, but replace it with the things that are sort of contradictory to it and following the nature of God, the easier that becomes. So there you go. Little side thought. Wayne says that helped very much. Good. Praise God. Any others? We've got a couple more minutes. Any other thoughts, ideas, concepts, something you want me to hit, talk about, something in the news you noticed that you're worried about that you want us to pray over? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. You got about 3 minutes here. Otherwise, I'm just going to slurp coffee, which could be very exciting radio and probably more exciting video. I used to do that on purpose. When I was working on the Life Changing Radio Network, I drive the purists crazy because I would do all these things you're not supposed to do, like this. You're not supposed to go. They would say, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that on the radio. That's disgusting." And I just found it a way to have some fun. A lot of times I did it just to rattle their cage, to be honest. But other times I found it was a way to connect with the audience about, they could envision what I did. And I didn't slurp that long like I just did, but I would slurp. They would hear me slurping the coffee. And the idea was to sort of get them to visualize having that cup of coffee with me on the air, even though they couldn't see me. So I think it worked. People seem to find it humorous or whatever, but it definitely was not standard radio operations by any means. Charity says, sounds like fingernails on a chalkboard. Great. You shouldn't feel that way. You love your coffee in the morning. Jen says, are you doing regular visits to nursing homes as well as hospice facilities now? No. Interestingly enough, okay, as far as the hospice is concerned, I can't do any. And that's more corporate policy. I mean, it's corporate policy and facility policy, right? Because most facilities are not allowing visits at all. Even family, even spouses are not allowed in to most nursing homes right now. The exception might be if someone's imminently dying, and then it's maybe a spouse, or they'll let in a priest to do last rites or sacrament of the sick, as it's now called. But they often won't let people like me go in. So the exception that I've found to that, there might be some others, but the main one, our corporate chaplaincy services business under the Rissinger Resource Group corporate entity has a very close relationship. I have a very close relationship with iCare, one of the networks of nursing homes in Connecticut. There's probably 12 or 13 locations. And as such, mainly because of needs of the staff, they've asked our chaplains to come in and have extra time. Now, it's most of what we're doing is by video. Most of it's on the phone. There are exceptions where they're allowing us to come in, especially at shift changes and stuff, just to minister to the staff. And of course, when that happens, as I did yesterday, I showed you yesterday, we have to glove up, we have to gown up, we mask up, we goggle up, we're washing, we're doing all that stuff, and it's very controlled. We get our temperature checked at the door. There's screening questions we have to answer. Just make sure everybody's, okay. But anyway, what was I going to say? So it's not like we just have the normal operations there, and it's not every site, but there are some where they need it. And that's just because these frontline nurses and health aides are just emotionally, physically, worn down. It's hard, and the one facility that I've been in so far, and I do this on off hours when I'm not a hospice chaplain, but I was so moved because they have to mark on the door. It's kind of like I don't know what you would call it, but they put an orange piece of tape next to the door if they're showing symptoms or there's concern, they're under investigation for COVID, and then if they are diagnosed, they put a plus sign in it. And so as you're walking down the hall, you can visually see the people who are, infected just by looking at the orange tape on the door. And these nurses are looking at that every day and watching new tape being put up on the door of people they love and serve and have, cared for, in some cases for years. And that's just wrenching. It really is. So, yeah, pray for them. We're going to continue to serve them on the phone, via video, and occasionally, as we walk in our spaceman suits, we'll be caring for them in person. At least our business the Rissenger Resource Group, corporate chaplaincy services. But yeah, as far as most people, most situations, and the hospice stuff, we can't even get. Closer we can get is through a window. Maybe like sometimes someone will go to the window and pray for people at the window. But other than that, it's all by phone. So I see I'm over time. Hey, love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining me. Tell your friends, neighbors, and complete strangers about Pondering. Want to have more involved. The more, the merrier. Do not worry. Do not swallow whole the headlines. Be cautious of some of the numbers that are flying around out there, too, because there's some evidence that some have been inflated for political and other purposes. So just do not despair. This too shall pass, right? God is in control. I have it on good authority. He has not abdicated the throne. And so we will get through this, and God will be glorified, and we will be stronger. So, bless you guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning. In the meantime, stay the word. Keep praying, and keep on pondering. Bye for now.